Welcome. Voice Viewer and Drums Viewer. As you can see, the application is already running and several packs are installed. Some of them are custom packs, while others were downloaded from the Yamaha hub. This means that we have voices and drum kits that can be accessed and displayed because they belong to PPF packs. At the same time, there are also voices and drum kits that cannot be accessed because they belong to encrypted CPF packs. As explained clearly in the end-user license agreement, my software does not access, decrypt, bypass, or modify any Yamaha-protected content in any way. Everything you see in this video comes exclusively from content that is already accessible within the user's folder structure. To begin, I'll select a custom pack that I know contains voices available for viewing. We can select a voice first and then open the context menu, or simply right-click the voice and choose Voice Viewer menu item directly. At this point, the voice data is loaded and displayed inside the Voice Viewer screen. Let's take a quick tour of the interface. At the top of the window, you'll see the icon associated with the selected voice, the name of the pack it belongs to, and the voice name itself. Below that, on the left side, you'll find the list of elements available within the selected voice. Some elements may be active, while others may not. Inactive elements do not contain waveforms or keybanks, meaning that no actual sample data is associated with them. Above the element list, you'll find the main menu button. Clicking this button displays options such as Add a new element, Clear selected element, Delete selected element, and Delete all empty elements. The Delete all empty elements option may be disabled when there are no empty elements available for removal, as you can see in this example. You'll also find options such as Trim sample tails for all elements in voice and Strip silence for all elements in voice. These functions operate on all samples contained within the voice. They are also available in other parts of the application and will be covered in detail in a future video. At the top center of the screen, you'll find the piano keyboard. It covers the full note range from C-2 to G8. Below the piano keyboard, a status label shows how many wave samples are currently contained within the selected element and their types. Next comes the section dedicated to the selected element's parameters. This section can be expanded or collapsed by clicking the small white arrow icon. All displayed parameters are read-only, since they can already be modified within the original YEM application. Below the Element Properties section, you'll find the Keybank Properties section. This area is populated automatically whenever a note is selected on the piano keyboard. As you can see, the selected piano key turns yellow. If the currently selected keybank is assigned to a MIDI note range, the corresponding keys on the piano keyboard will be highlighted with a red outline. Let's move back to the keybank section. On the left side, all available keybanks are displayed. Each keybank provides visual information about the sample type it contains, whether it is mono or stereo. Just like the element properties, all keybank properties are currently read-only. As a technical detail, a single note, or even a range of notes, may contain multiple keybanks. In other words, multiple sample layers can exist within the same element. A keybank essentially represents a single layer inside that element. This approach is commonly used for velocity switching, where different samples are triggered depending on how hard a key is played. So whenever you see multiple keybanks assigned to the same note range, each one is typically configured for a different velocity range. Further down in the keybank section, below the keybank properties, you'll find the built-in audio player for each individual sample. Depending on whether the sample is mono or stereo, and whether loop points are enabled, the waveform display will use different colors. In this example, the waveform is displayed in green because looping is currently enabled. The play button behaves differently depending on the sample type. For samples with active loop points, you'll need to keep the play button pressed in order to sustain the sound. For samples without loop points, and with the keynote off option disabled, which is indicated in the lower right corner when it is present, a single click is enough. The player will play the entire sample from start to finish each time the button is pressed. Let's listen to an example. Below the audio player, you'll find several useful pieces of information related to the currently selected sample. Before moving on, it's worth mentioning the volume control available in the header of the screen. This control adjusts the playback volume of the sample player and supports a range from 0 to 100. You can change the volume in several different ways. Simply position the mouse cursor over the control and use the mouse wheel, click and drag vertically, or click and drag horizontally. The selected value is automatically saved and shared between both voice viewer and drum viewer. Each time either screen is opened, the previously selected volume level is restored automatically, even after restarting the application or rebooting your computer. Now, let's take a look at how the Add a New Element, Clear Selected Element, and Delete Selected Element functions work. We'll start by clicking the menu button and selecting Add a New Element. Depending on the type of voice currently selected, whether it is a preset voice or a universal voice, the application will display all packs in your installation that contain compatible voices of the same type. The pack containing the currently selected voice is marked with a green indicator. You can copy elements from voices within the same pack or from completely different packs. The application handles all required operations automatically, including copying the element and all associated parameters, regardless of where the source voice is located. First, select a pack from the list on the left. The center list will then display all compatible voices available within that pack. Select a voice. On the right side, you'll see all elements available for copying. Choose the element you want to import and click Add. The application will now update the voice data in its internal database and insert the new element into the current voice. As you can see, the element has been added successfully and is immediately available for use. It can also be edited directly in YEM. To verify that everything was imported correctly, let's open YEM and inspect the voice. We'll locate our voice, open it, and skip any informational messages displayed by YEM. Now let's look at our newly added element, which in this example is element 5. I'll temporarily mute the other elements so we can hear only the imported one. Let's listen. As you can hear, everything works correctly. YEM can read, display, and play the samples contained in the imported element, even though the element originated from a different pack. This confirms that the operation was completed successfully. Let's close YEM and return to YEM Content Explorer. Now let's see how the Clear Selected Element function works. We'll select element 5, open the menu, and choose Clear Selected Element. A confirmation dialog appears. Click on Yes button. As you can see, the element is now empty. During this operation, the application ensures that samples used elsewhere in the voices of pack are not removed accidentally. It also prevents unused files from being left behind inside the pack folder. Everything is cleaned up safely and automatically. Since empty elements can no longer be selected directly, the Delete All Empty Elements option has now become available. Let's click it. Once again, a confirmation dialog appears. Click on Yes button. And just like that, the empty element has been removed. I won't demonstrate the Delete Selected Element function separately because it behaves almost exactly like the clear operation. The difference is that, instead of only removing the element's contents, it removes the entire element itself. Just like the other functions, it performs all necessary safety checks to ensure that no data currently used elsewhere in the pack is affected and also prevents unused files from being left behind inside the pack folder. That is all for now regarding the voice viewer screen and its main functions dedicated exclusively to this section. Next, let's continue with the drums viewer screen. Select a drum kit item, or simply right-click on it and choose Drums Viewer from the context menu. We'll wait for the drum kit data to be loaded from the application's database and for the screen to open. As you can see, the Drums Viewer screen is very similar to the Voice Viewer screen, with only a few key differences. The first major difference is that the left side list of elements and the element properties section are no longer present. Based on my analysis of this type of data, all elements within a drum kit share the same values, unlike voices, where parameters such as volume, coarse tune, fine tune, and others are stored at element level. In drum kits, these values are stored directly in the waveform and keybank structure. In other words, each note in a drum kit effectively represents a single element containing its own waveform. Because of this structure, and since displaying a full list of elements would not be practical and would also be redundant, the decision was made not to include that list in the screen. The second major difference is the menu available in this view. Unlike Voice Viewer, this menu only contains two functions: trim sample tails and strip silence. Aside from these differences, the Drums Viewer screen behaves exactly the same as Voice Viewer. The overall workflow, navigation, and sample playback system remain identical between the two screens. I hope this video helped you understand the structure of Voice Viewer and Drums Viewer screens, and I invite you to watch the upcoming videos covering the tail trimmer and silence stripper functions. If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.